And welcome to the Game Buzz, the weekly podcast from Dealsbone.com, where we rattle through the hottest news from the past 7 days. I'm Matt Gardner. I'm joined here once again by Carl Phillips.
Hello.
And by Jonathan Lester.
Hi there.
And we're going to kick off today's Game Buzz with Nintendo Watch. Woohoo!
Yay.
Yeah. There's been a bit of news. Basically, Nintendo thought they were going to make a whole bunch of money, and now they don't think they're going to make as much money.
That's pretty much the size of it. And well, they not only think that they're not going to make as much money, but they think they're going to make negative money. They're going to lose money. Instead of making like a big fat 322 million quid, they reckon they're gonna lose 146 mil. And the reason is because they, for some reason, thought that they could sell 9 million Wii U's in a single year without any publicity and the barest minimum of a compelling games lineup.
Yeah.
And it turns out that actually reality doesn't work that way, and they reckon they're now going to sell 3 million in full year sales, which the Xbox One and PS4 are likely to be in a matter of months. So I don't. Thing is, I promised to be more upbeat and start evangelizing about the Wii U.
I think we all did, right?
And I can't. Every time I write about Nintendo, I live for the crushing time. I live to just absolutely rag on them, and I really want to concentrate on the games. There are some great games on that platform. There's enough to make it a real niche connoisseur's console. Even now, that's going to continue. But my God, Iwata, how long is Iwata going to keep his job?
It's amazing, isn't it? Like anywhere else, he would probably have been fired.
We've been saying
quite a long
this
time.
Yeah, no, fired out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Fired out of a cannon, like pointed directly out of the boardroom.
They wouldn't have been able to afford the gunpowder, though. It would have been a catapult.
The thing is, Nintendo was sitting on fat mountains of cash from the Wii days, and we saw this. NES, SNES, they had massive success there. Then it took them three console generations to have another hit. So maybe we're just in that nice down period where they release consoles with some good games on them. They don't sell very many of them, and then we'll have like the Wii again in a couple of consoles time. Carl, do you reckon that they actually just need to ditch the Wii U and just be like, right, new, proper, competitive, next-gen gaming console with the power to really push our enormous legacy, because it is an enormous legacy, forward, like the game?
I think that's difficult, because now they're in a position where they're in between the big generational releases. Like the Wii came out when the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 came out, thereabouts. So it was all kind of like level pegging. Now they've got this weird middle ground where it's going to be they might have a graphical edge for like a year, and then all of a sudden it all goes down the pan, as we've seen with the Wii U in terms of power compared to the PS4 and everything. So I don't know whether that would be a solution. I'm trying to think of a way that they can get themselves out of it, apart from the obvious, release good games now. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Because I think they need an Nvidia partnership. I mean, there's AMD tech in the other next-gen consoles. Go on, Nvidia. Go on. Team up with Nintendo and re-release the Shield as the ultimate Nintendo handheld with the power of a decent console. Yeah, do it. Have it.
One idea that's been going around, it's been flying around a little bit on social networks, the Twitterverse. Tweet. That's not
I hate that word.
It's a horrible word, right? And Twitterati as well. Fuck that word.
Boo.
Boo. Do we think actually that, because I wrote an article this week. Yes, a pimping article. Woohoo! On our PlayStation Plus, just to basically evangelizing PlayStation Plus again, as we always do, because it's a marvelous service and it's brilliant, and it's kind of it's keeping people playing their PS4s right now in a sort of fairly empty period. Would Nintendo be well serviced with a subscription thing? Maybe that could be cross-platform between 3DS and. Well, wouldn't it be a great idea? Because I mean, they could have some of their Wii games released digitally on Wii U.
Yes, obviously that's a brilliant idea, but we're talking about a company that still hasn't released all the virtual console games available on the Wii U yet. We're
Yep.
talking about a company whose greatest advance in the last few months has been to make one account on the 3DS and Wii U. That took them a year and a half. We're talking about a company that still hasn't brought TV to the UK and whose online network is a bit of a joke. Apart from Miiverse, which is amazing. Miiverse, awesome. Of course it's a brilliant idea. I mean, it would also be great if, like, Nintendo right now gave everyone a free Wii U upgrade that contained, like, 16 gigs of RAM. And it also printed money. And also they released a new Metroid Prime game that runs at 4K resolution. I mean, all those things are great.
I think it's basically a case of if they had more of a backlog that they could give to Wii U gamers, that would be brilliant. Although, as you say that, I mean, the PS Vita's done all right, and that doesn't exactly have the most stellar lineup.
What they could do is they've got all these virtual console games that they still have inexplicably only released a tiny fraction of on the Wii U. Why not have some sort of, maybe, what about, they've got to keep the multiplayer free. If they start charging for multiplayer, that's it, because they're the only console that is free multiplayer now. But they could be a pass for access to a whole bunch of old legacy games. I don't know, SNES games, NES, just more classic quality games that they can just put out there. I mean, why aren't all the, like, N64 games on there?
I don't know. This is the thing. Whilst you keep saying please understand, but we don't. I just don't understand.
So,
Yay, Nintendo!
Yay!
Remember, guys,
We've broken our New Year's resolution.
Yeah, this is a projection. Remember, this is an estimate. We will report on the actual figures when we get them. And for the record, they did enjoy a relatively successful December. They had their best ever month of Wii U trading in December, and they're still predicting exactly. You know, again, seeing as they sold 10,000 units, blah 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 blah.
Nintendo, I love you, I really do, but you make me so very cross, inexplicably cross.
All I would take away from this is the 3DS is also underperforming, which is a relative term because it is the fastest and best. Sorry, it's the best-selling console in the US and the UK in 2013. But Nintendo had crazy projections for it. It's coming under those. So all I'd say is, if you don't have a 3DS, you probably should have a 3DS.
I think that's a pretty good Deal's Bone top tip.
Like, right, shall we move off from Nintendo?
Yeah,
let's crushing begins. The crushing, the bonfires.
No, we're not doing bonfires.
Light the fire.
We're not killing it with
Do
fire.
it, John.
Okay,
Light
I'm putting the
fire.
pitchfork. Putting the evangelize the Wii U. Good, we lovely Wii U.
Let's evangelize something else.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Owlface Redux. It's been Steam Dev Days this week. Where Valve cozies up with their developers, they shut out the publishers in the press, and they go, "Sup, guys, we're awesome." And one of the things they announced was the Owlface. Well, we've called it Owlface. The Steam controller is getting a bit of a redux, seemingly to bring it slightly more in line with traditional consoles. They've removed the touchscreen, and they're replacing it with face buttons at the bottom.
Well, where else are you going to put them?
On the, I don't know.
Exactly. First of all, it doesn't look like an owl anymore without the little Steam.
I know.
I mean, it looks more like, as a few sites pointed out, it looks more like Stewie out of those Family Guy Star Wars episodes.
Yep.
This is true.
You know, Stewie Vader. But I'm disappointed about this, actually. I think that, don't get me wrong, I'm of the sort of philosophy that I like to see hardware manufacturers really go crazy, absolutely crazy, and fail, rather than just kind of iterate and do all right. So take what I'm about to say with a pinch of salt. But I think, for me, the most exciting thing about that controller was the ability to properly emulate more than just shooters and the stuff we play on consoles, things like the 4X games, the RTS games, and stuff like that. And to do that, you need a controller that can adapt to other genres, that has more than just 8 face buttons and triggers. You need the idea of a touchscreen with a freely licensed API that anyone could create custom inputs for developers and fans with context-sensitive menus, I thought that was a great idea. I thought that was a really, really good idea. I mean, yeah, it would affect battery life and would be impractical, and it's tiny, and it'd bump up the cost by a huge amount. But as I said, I'd rather see it. I'd rather see Valve go absolutely bonkers and fail drastically than, you know, deliver. Because right now, I don't know why I'd want to buy one now. It's just a controller, except it doesn't have sticks. It's got pads.
Do you know what I would have liked to have seen? I would have liked, you know, we've just been talking about Nintendo. I think a perfect controller for the Steam box would have been a gamepad, because like adventure games and strategy titles work so awesomely on like tablets, right? Like, I mean, obviously you'd need to make that touchscreen better.
It would need to be capacitive rather than the crappy,
rather than
Nintendo
rubbish. But yeah, like, I thought that would have been really, really freaking sweet. Or what's that ridiculous razor thing?
Well, no, you mean the Project Fiona? Do you mean?
It might be Project Fiona.
Oh, you mean the tablet computer?
Yeah, no, the tablet computer with
Yeah, that's Project Fiona.
That crazy thing with its like sort of mounted bracket for thumbsticks and weirdness, and just go all out with that $6,000 Steam box. Like, you can add that onto the $6,000 Steam box, bump it up to 10. Like, why not?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think maybe this is just a way of like gradually easing people into the touchpads, and then they can bring out a version that will actually let the controller fulfill its remit rather than providing just another way of playing shooters. You know, like I can't imagine playing a shooter with the. I'm playing with the trackpad on my laptop right now. I can't imagine playing a shooter like that. I used to back in the day, when needs must, but. I don't know. I'd like to see the Owlface really pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they haven't. Like, obviously, you can see why they've done it, because it fits with all the back catalogue of games that are on Steam. But I don't know. I feel like putting the sort of like the 4 buttons down at the bottom was just a bit too easy, considering that they've gone for the whole touchpad thing. Like, I had this idea that perhaps they could put the buttons around the touchpads, like in sort of in a circular thing, and have the 4 buttons that way. So the thumbs don't move that far away from the pad, because they're all like there in the first place. And then you've got your directional pad on the one side, and then you've got your 4 buttons on the other side. And it should, I'm saying in theory, I'm not a technician or designer of any sort, but in theory, surely that would have left enough space for a touchpad still as well, or a touchscreen.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're going to be working heavily with. They've pledged allegiance to the Oculus Rift now, so you'd have that controller in your hands with all the buttons around it, and then you could have a touchpad connected directly to your mouth underneath the Oculus Rift that you could press with your tongue.
No,
and then
stop. No.
Just saying.
I'm just seeing John face right now. We've all seen it.
No, it's Bolmer, isn't it? It's just Bolmer.
Yeah,
he's going to be the only one capable of using that, isn't he?
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm playing Borderlands. Blah, 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 blah.
Playing PC games just becomes the most disgusting experience.
Look, this is blue sky thinking. Maybe let's ratchet down on the tongue controller. I'm just saying it could
stop
work.
Latching about with that one.
But yeah, Carl, I agree.
Men learn how to pleasure a woman and play Civilization at the same time. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, Johnny was saying.
Charming fellas.
You're the one that came up with it.
Hey, I'm just the ideas man. You guys made it. You guys made it bad.
I brought in Bolmer.
Right, okay.
We're going to say.
I want a yes or no answer to this question. Is the Owlface Redux better or worse? John.
Worse.
Carl.
Controller. It's definitely a controller, and that is all you're getting out of me. Right,
so the Owlface is definitely a worse, better, maybe possibly controller. That's awesome.
Yay!
I want to quickly move on, because one other thing came out. Well, several things came out of Steam Dev Days. One other thing I want to touch on came out of Steam Dev Days, which was Gabe Newell basically saying that Valve want to get rid of Greenlight because they're evolving.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, it was a weird system as it was anyway, wasn't it?
It is, and you can see why they might want to do that, because they want to give more power to developers to create storefronts for themselves, that sort of thing. And you know, it has been making Steam something akin to the App Store in terms of they are worried about saturation, obviously,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of people who do like Greenlight. There are a lot of devs
Yeah,
who rely on it.
We've seen a fair few games come to Greenlight, come to Steam via Greenlight, and it works well. But here's the thing, guys: the grand old days when you could just make an indie game and manage to get it onto Steam, and it would be a guaranteed success, are over. Those are not the days we live in now. We live in. You mentioned that word, saturation. Steam Greenlight is totally broken because they will just say, "Hey, guys, here are 30 games now that are all going to come on Steam. They're all here." You know, all the Steam Greenlit games, they all get lost in the noise. And the whole system itself is prone to being... It seems to me that Steam needs to do more A&R, and then, as you say, they need to... The problem they face now, they need to let developers take more control of their storefronts, and their early access means that more developers can put their wares on there, you know, regardless of what state they're in. But with the Steam boxes coming out, they're also going to have to make sure that everything works. Which that's for Valve to sort out, but I think it's kind of fair enough that Steam Light's on its way out. I'm going to be asking a few developers what they think about this, but I think a lot of people like it, but a lot of people say it's a popularity contest that's actually quite reductive in some cases.
Absolutely. I mean, it let stuff like what was formerly the War Z on. And this is the problem. Like games such as Ethan Meteor Hunter has only just been greenlit. I mean, they've been campaigning for well over a year, and they've only just got it. And it's that one
game's great.
And it's great. It's balls hard, but my god, it should have been on the store absolutely ages ago, but it haven't because they didn't necessarily have the popularity that other games did. And so in that sense, I think it's better because, I mean, the whole point of it was that Steam didn't have the people to constantly check the quality of games. So they're like, oh yeah, let the community decide amongst themselves and then we'll check on those that are the most popular. And it clearly didn't work. So, yeah, I think it's for the best, and perhaps this means that Valve are actually going to spend a bit of that gigantic pool of money on hiring some people to do some quality assurance and make sure that only the right games get on the system.
But then it's a closed system, and the PC is not, and you're certifying games, and you can't have.
That's what people are going to say.
Yeah,
Carl.
and you know what they'll say.
And Valve has to do it.
No, you know what Valve will do. They'll get, like, Gabe will come up and say, guys, everything's fine, and then someone will notice in the background there's a logo saying Half-Life 3, and then we'll get distracted and no one will care.
That's so very true.
That's
so Valve.
Yeah.
So
Half-Life
Valve.
3 confirmed, and then 2 years later they do the same thing again. So you know what? It doesn't really matter.
So yes, that was Valve. That's Steam of the week. Another quick yes or no question. SimCity, well, we already knew it was getting offline because they announced it like vaguely a few months back. But it's properly happened with the next patch. Do we give a shit?
No.
Yeah.
It took them a year.
Yeah.
But the cloud is so powerful. So powerful.
That is the only thing. Like, it was for so long. Maxis was like, no, we can't possibly do this. Like, everything is integrated into the fluffy white things in the sky. Like, the cloud is responsible for everything. Like, your computer can handle the truth. It turns out that it totally can.
Yeah, totally.
So, how long do you think it's going to be before the server shut down? Do you think?
Oh, I think I'm going to be really optimistic. I at least give them till 5 o'clock today.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair enough. I'm thinking it will probably happen like after the patch goes live.
Possibly.
I'm thinking that it may be like I don't know, maybe August, September. Do you reckon?
And then they'll come up saying, "Oh, by the way, we've got a new expansion for SimCity 4," because that's where everybody's buying
because
everything.
The game we gave to you for free to apologise for SimCity 5.
And they will say, because we're such an amazing company, we've been listening to what you really want, and we've worked long and hard as a massive favour to you to bring you this offline mode. And because you wanted it, we're taking the servers offline because we're just great like that.
Because
that's
of
how EA
you.
operates. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, even with this offline mode, I mean, how's that going to affect the regions? Like, how easy is it going to be to switch between online and offline modes?
Well,
I mean, it's saying
we're
that. I
gonna
mean,
have to
like,
find
Tell
out.
you, I'll
the
tell you
great
the
work's
answer to
still
that.
broken, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Don't care. Don't care. I don't care. Like,
That's it.
how will it affect How will it affect that? How will it affect all those calculations? Will it introduce a new round of, like, bizarre glitches? Will it, and
We're still
the
kidnapped school
connectivity?
children.
What about the
Yeah.
connectivity and the great works? How it's going to affect that? Who cares? No one's playing it anymore. It came out a year ago. SimCity 4 is still a thing and better. So
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We will actually be going back to SimCity in early March. We promised we'd do a year on just to see where it got to. So we will be doing that. But quite frankly, until then, couldn't give a monkey's. But it's funny that you mentioned we listened kind of tactic, because something else happened this week. It was very much along those lines. That pisses me off so much. Like, you have fan backlash basically, and press backlash as well, just going, this is wrong. What are you doing? Why is it like this? Companies stonewalling and stonewalling and stonewalling and stonewalling and stonewalling. Just things just get immeasurably worse. And then so it's like, okay, no, we're finally giving in because we realised that we made a mistake. But we listened.
But no, they don't say that. I mean, look at Battlefield 4. And this is why EA is potentially in the running for a third worst company in America award from the Consumerist. When Battlefield 4 was broken, and in fact the newest patch has broken it again, like just yesterday.
No, it really has.
It really has. You now can't respawn properly a lot of the time, and they've just added that. They've just broken
But that's
it again.
realism,
But it's ridiculous. And the thing is, it was patently broken. Everyone said that it was broken, and then EA said, thanks to the millions of people who are enjoying Battlefield 4 and everything's going fine. However, a few of you moaners, a few
I love
of
it
you
when they do
weasels have been complaining. A tiny minority of you. So, like the absolute champions that we are going to take time out of our busy schedule of swimming around in money we made through insider trading, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We're going to take some of that time that we would normally spend rubbing filthy lucre all over ourselves.
Allegedly.
and fix this game and fix these few little things off our own back just for you, because we're nice like that and we care about you, tiny mewling puke of a minority. And it's disgusting. It's absolutely it's not difficult to see why people keep voting EA the worst company in America, even above arms manufacturers and drug testing laboratories and payday loan companies, when you've got a company who treats their fan base like that, who just wastes their time and then says, well, we've already wasted your time, but as a favour, maybe, as a favour to you, because you keep moaning about it, we might get round to fixing it. It's really started bugging me now. Like, own your mistakes, EA. Own them. Apologise properly.
Wait, so the bugs in Battlefield 3 are now causing bugs in you?
Yeah, pretty much.
God, it's an epidemic.
It's bugception. Bugs within bugs.
Bugception.
Yeah.
That's
Getting deep.
Battlefield, Battlefield 4 even.
Oh yeah, that. Moving on.
Whee.
And let's just come on, EA. There's still time to avoid that third golden poo. Moving on. The company I was actually referring to this week, IO Interactive, came out after the mixed bag that was Hitman Absolution, and said we are making this AAA Hitman game, because there were some rumours that it had been cancelled. They were focusing on mobile. No, all of their focus is on this AAA Hitman game, and they're apparently going back to like the roots of Hitman. They're promising non-linear open sandboxes with systemic elements and AI that allow you to sort of achieve your objective in a multiple myriad of ways, which all sounds wonderful.
Yeah, that's the size of it.
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds really good.
But I also remember them saying similar things about Hitman Absolution when we went.
Well,
that looks very linear. No, it's not linear.
Well, no, the stuff that they showed us was that sort of like the Chinese New Year.
Yeah,
level.
that was.
And that was the
cracking.
most open level they had in the game. Like, if they did an entire game of that level, then it would have been fine. And as that's seemingly what they're going to try and do with this next Hitman game. And you know what? If they do that, perhaps even make the levels a little bit bigger, that would be great. Perhaps maybe tone down the the Spidey sense ability.
Yes, please.
And
bullshit.
perhaps make the costume system not completely broken. Then they've got themselves a game that I would praise 10 times over. Like, throw in the contracts mode that they added in, it'd be brilliant. So yeah, it all sounds really good, but yeah, forgive me if I hold off my excitement after having to play through and review Absolution, because that was, God, that story.
Well,
It's
at
not
least
a
you
bad game though, is it?
It's not bad.
It's
just
not a bad
wasn't
game. It just
good.
wasn't a Hitman game.
Yeah,
It was a Splinter Cell game.
It was just under good, basically, I would say, in terms of the scale.
Yeah, because it was a frustrating thing. There were levels in Absolution, one or two that had a hint of that openness and that excellence in sort of like dumping you in a situation and having you sort of use the environment to your advantage and work out a way to get your target and out again. And then it contrasted it with just nuns. Spandex nuns.
Yeah.
And linearity. It was just, yeah. It's like, come on, IO. You're talking a good talk, but we want to see it. We want to see it. We want to have it in our hands and know that you're backing those words up.
And try and keep the Kane and Lynch cameos to a minimum or zero.
Oh, God. Just don't do it.
Just don't bother.
Let us kill them.
Ooh, that'd be cool. A job to take them both out. Let's complete the story. Yes.
Then they'd never come back. That would be... Wait, actually, no. Like, they'd have to... Oh, man, they'd have to completely rewrite the narrative because they're going backwards in time, aren't they, to sort of... Like...
Yeah, but the Kane and Lynch narrative is two sweary guys piss about. So, and kill people, and one of them gets naked for a bit. That's like it. There's nothing to rewrite there. They can do whatever they want.
That's true.
And preferably fucking off would be good.
Yes.
But basically, it just sounds like they're making the Hitman HD collection.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the look of that, I mean, they've just described, the original Hitman games, going around the world, killing people. Awesome. Let's do that.
Yes, please. And the great thing is that they've announced it for next gen NPC, which means they'll be able to work with the more high power processors, the better graphics kits, and sort of hopefully really dedicate that power to making the AI absolutely top notch, and filling those areas with NPCs and opportunities.
I can't wait to see how they use the Wii U gamepad.
No. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That brings us on nicely, actually, to a regular segment we're going to be featuring in Game Buzzers going forward from now on. It's time to do Winners and Losers of the Week. Woohoo! We'll just have a little bit of music here.
Winners and losers of the week.
Winners and losers of the week. We're going to name the best of the worst. The losers of the
Losers of the hey.
Vamp. Yeah.
Vamp.
So
Okay.
winners and losers, John.
Let's start with losers because we always somehow end on a depressing note. So we're going to end on winners this time.
Agreed.
So
Losers
start
and
with
winners of the
losers. Who's loser of the week?
Loser of the week is Silicon Knights again. Aren't they just the losers of every week? They've lost even harder this week because they appealed for some reason against the court ruling that saw them having to pay millions and millions of dollars to Epic Games for blatantly, patently, not allegedly, stealing a whole bunch of Unreal Engine code.
Yeah.
They appealed. And then the appeal document came back from the court and basically said there was no substance to the appeal. They didn't even argue a whole bunch of their points. Their whole argument makes no sense. There are a bunch of crooks. Pay up. Pay even more now. So, and there isn't anyone even left to pay it. There's no company there. And Diac just needs to stay far away from all the remaining employees and Precursor Games and everyone else to avoid tainting them with his toxic, awful, alleged bad business practices. So, like, it's just rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah,
Silicon Knights had already bled out. They were dead, and now they've just been kicked again in the teeth. So they've obviously lost this week. And I'm so glad we don't have to end on that note. I mean, this is even more so than Nintendo. At least they're just projecting that sort of loss. I mean, Silicon Knights were down and out, and now they are just so uniquely fucked.
I think it was the fact that we were reading through the court document and laughing our asses off.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, if it wasn't, just some of the stuff Silicon Knights are trying to pull. It's laughable. It's yeah. They are the losers of the week. I think we can all agree on that. We need a sound effect there. Yes, definitely. We'll find one. It'll be great. Okay, winners of the week. Carl, who's your winner of this week?
I'd guess perhaps Game. Of all retailers, they apparently they announced that they'd had a 90% year-on-year growth over the Christmas period in terms of sales. They're doing pretty well. They're planning on doing a huge IPO later this year. So yeah, I'd say Game for actually making money after
That's
being
really good call.
really they've been doing really badly. So yeah, I would say that they are the winners of this week.
That's
even though people would
shout.
say that there are places where you can get cheaper games from, perhaps. Still, they did really well both on the high street, which is good to know because shops are closing left, right, and centre, and they did well online. So yeah, I would say Game. Well done, Game.
Well done, Game. It's nice to have some good news for Game.
Yeah.
Like
consumer news as well.
Yeah, after we went through all the harrowing periods of them sort of the struggle against adversity and almost going under and then rebounding back. Good on you, Game. Yeah. Awesome. Right, well that's a fantastic place to end on. Actually, one other winner of the week, the Terran Republic.
Oh, that's
because
true.
we got stuck into PlanetSide 2 as part of a new regular video feature here on Dillspawn called Game Night, where we'll be going in and basically just sort of chatting bollocks while we play some games.
Check it out.
It's really brilliant. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. The pilot part 1 and part 2 will be up at the time you're listening to this, so do go check them out. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we will be back next week. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.